All right, let's set the scene, because this isn't your standard preseason drama. This isn't a quarterback competition or a little sideline disagreement, or the usual coach says one thing, player says another headline that burns out in 24 hours. No. What's happening in Cleveland right now is a full-blown organizational crisis. A storm that's bigger than one game, one coach, or one rookie. Because Shedeur Sanders, the rookie who just dropped 18 completions, 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions against the Rams in preseason, is flat-out refusing to return to the Browns after Kevin Stefanski publicly criticized him. You heard that right.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The guy who lit up the Rams defense. The guy fans were ready to crown QB1 after one preseason game. The guy who looked calm, collected, and decisive under pressure. Something Cleveland has been begging for since forever. Walked out of the locker room after his head coach called him out in front of the world. And he hasn't looked back. How did we get here? It all starts with the Rams game. Sanders wasn't supposed to dominate. He was supposed to show flashes, maybe make a few mistakes, get patted on the back for potential. Instead, he played like he'd been in the league for 3 years already. He threaded passes through tight coverage. He read the defense pre-snap like a veteran. He didn't panic when the pocket broke down. And that touchdown throw in the second quarter? Chef's kiss. Perfect placement, right over the shoulder, right where only his guy could grab it. The fans saw it. The teammates saw it. Even the announcers couldn't hide their excitement. Cleveland finally looked like they had something. And then, Stefanski grabbed the mic. Instead of praising his rookie for a gutsy, nearly flawless performance, the head coach criticized him. Publicly. Picked apart his mechanics. Questioned his decision-making. Talked about rookie mistakes that, frankly, nobody else noticed. It wasn't constructive criticism. It was humiliation. And Shedeur? He didn't yell. He didn't throw a tantrum. He didn't even clap back in the moment. He just grabbed his stuff, walked out of the locker room, and told the team, "I'm not playing under that disrespect." The fallout. Now let's be clear, this isn't just a spat. This isn't coach is tough on his rookie. This is a fracture. The practice field feels empty without Sanders. The reps are uneven. The quarterbacks left, Gabriel and Flacco, don't inspire the same energy. Teammates are unsettled. Some veterans have already whispered to reporters that they get it. That they understand why Shedeur's taking a stand. That what Stefanski did wasn't just criticism, it was undermining. And the fans? Oh, the fans are livid. Social media exploded within hours. Campaigns demanding Sanders be named the starter. Hashtags dragging Stefanski for mishandling his rookie. Think pieces about how the Browns just can't help themselves. How they always find a way to fumble quarterback situations that should be simple. This isn't just a quarterback controversy anymore. This is a crisis of identity. A rookie who won't be disrespected. Here's the part that makes this even more fascinating. Sanders isn't acting like your typical rookie. Most rookies? They'd bite their tongue. They'd take the criticism. They'd nod politely, keep grinding, and wait for their moment. Not Shedeur. He knows his worth. He knows his talent. He knows what he just put on tape against the Rams wasn't luck. It was legit. And he's not about to let his head coach undercut that in front of his teammates, the media, and the entire league. This is bigger than football. This is about respect. Sanders is drawing a line in the sand. If you're going to build this franchise around me, then treat me like a cornerstone, not a disposable piece. And honestly, that's player empowerment 101. We've seen it in the NBA. We've seen it in college athletes with nil deals. Now we're seeing it in the NFL with a rookie quarterback saying, "I won't be your scapegoat. I won't be your punching bag. Respect me or I walk." Ownership in panic mode. You can imagine what's happening behind closed doors. Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, is reportedly furious. Not just at Sanders for walking away, but at Stefanski for sparking this in the first place. You don't take the best preseason rookie performance Cleveland's seen in years and smother it with public criticism. Not if you care about fan morale. Not if you care about momentum. Meanwhile, GM Andrew Berry is stuck in the middle, trying to play diplomat. He knows Stefanski's authority matters. He knows coaches can't have rookies dictating terms. But he also knows you don't alienate a quarterback with generational potential before he's even played a regular season snap. This isn't just a roster issue. This is an existential crisis for the Browns. Stefanski's power play. So why did Stefanski do it? Why call out Sanders when he should have been praising him? Insiders say it was about control. Stefanski wanted to reassert himself, to remind everyone, including the rookie, that no one is bigger than the system. That even after a stellar performance, there's still a hierarchy, still lessons to learn. But instead of reinforcing his authority, he may have blown it up. Because Sanders isn't backing down. He's refusing to return. And now, every day he stays away, Stefanski looks weaker. Every practice without Sanders is a reminder that the coach may have picked the wrong hill to die on. A locker room divided. Here's where it gets even messier. The locker room isn't united. Some guys back Stefanski. Quietly, they'll tell reporters, rookies gotta earn it. Coach has to set the tone. But others, especially veterans, are openly sympathetic to Sanders. They respect his play. They respect his composure. And they don't like seeing their potential franchise quarterback publicly humiliated after a great game. This division is poison. It fractures trust. It kills cohesion. And it makes every practice feel like a referendum on who the team really belongs to, the coach or the quarterback. The bigger picture. Let's zoom out. Because this isn't just about Cleveland anymore. The entire NFL is watching. Rival teams are circling like sharks, waiting to see if Sanders becomes available. Coaches around the league are asking themselves, if he can refuse to play after one criticism, what does that mean for the future of coach-player dynamics? And you can bet other young players are taking notes. This is Player Empowerment NFL edition. A rookie quarterback refusing to be publicly disrespected. It's not LeBron holding the decision. It's not Kawhi sitting out games. But it's the same DNA, the same shift in power. What's next? So what happens now? The Browns have two choices, and neither is pretty. Option 1, side with Stefanski. Force Sanders back. Double down on coaching authority. But that risks losing Sanders forever, alienating him, driving him to demand a trade, or worse, turning him into another wasted Cleveland quarterback story. Option 2, side with Sanders. Mend fences. Acknowledge the mistake. Apologize even. But that risks undermining Stefanski's authority with the entire roster. It makes the coach look weak. It makes every future confrontation a gamble. This is a no-win scenario. And the longer it drags on, the worse it gets. The fans won't forget. No matter what happens, one thing's for sure. The fans won't forget this. They won't forget the night Shedeur threw for nearly 250 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Rams. They won't forget how it felt to finally believe in a quarterback again. And they won't forget how fast the organization managed to mess it up. Whether Sanders stays, leaves, or sits out, this will linger. This will become another ghost in the long haunted history of Cleveland quarterbacks. The legacy at stake. At the end of the day, this isn't just about preseason drama. It's about legacy. For Stefanski, it's about whether his insistence on control costs him the locker room, and maybe his job. For Sanders, it's about whether he becomes the rookie who stood up for respect and turned it into a career-defining moment, or the rookie who walked away too soon. And for the Browns, it's about whether this is just another bump in the road, or the beginning of another lost decade. So here's the real question. Who blinks first? Does Stefanski back down? Does Sanders cave? Or does Cleveland implode under the weight of yet another quarterback crisis? Because right now, this isn't just a story. It's a saga. And the ending? Nobody knows. What do you think? Should Sanders stick to his guns? Or should he swallow the criticism and get back on the field? Is Stefanski right to demand respect for the chain of command? Or has he mishandled a generational talent? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this one isn't going away anytime soon. And if you want the chaos, the meltdowns, the implosions that define modern sports, Subscribe now. Because in Cleveland, the quarterback saga never sleeps. This week's fake award? Most likely to turn a preseason win into a franchise-altering civil war. Take a bow, Shedeur. You've shaken the entire NFL without playing a single regular season snap. Alright, let's get comfortable because the Shedeur Sanders-Kevin Stefanski standoff isn't just a flash headline. This is a slow-motion implosion, the kind of drama that has the potential to ripple far beyond Cleveland. And the longer this mess drags out, the more it feels less like a football dispute and more like a cultural battle inside a franchise that's already infamous for chaos. So here we go. Shedeur Sanders refuses to play after being disrespected. Stefanski refuses to back down because he wants to assert authority. Ownership is sitting in the middle with their arms crossed, staring at a ticking time bomb. And the fans? They're already picking sides. The power of perception. Let's start here. Perception is everything in the NFL. When a rookie quarterback balls out in his first preseason game, nearly 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, that should be celebrated. That's what you build on. That's what you hype up. That's what you put in the highlight reel when you're trying to sell season tickets. But instead of leaning into the optimism, Stefanski decided to play tough guy. He nitpicked. He kept it real. He told the world that Shedeur still had a long way to go. Now, in theory, you can argue this is classic coaching psychology. Don't let the rookie get too big for his britches. Keep him humble. Ground him. Test his resilience. But here's the problem. Shedeur Sanders is not your typical rookie. He's not the kid desperate just to make the roster. He's not anonymous. He's not faceless. He's the son of Deion Sanders. He's grown up with cameras in his face. He's built a brand before stepping foot in the NFL. He's walked into every room with the weight of expectations already on his shoulders. He knows how narratives work. And when his own head coach flipped his moment of triumph into a moment of public doubt, that wasn't a lesson in humility. That was a slap in the face. And Shedeur responded in the only way he knows how, by making it clear he won't accept disrespect, not even from his head coach. Fans choose their hero. Now let's talk about Cleveland. Because if you think this fan base is split, you haven't been paying attention. Cleveland has been waiting, decades waiting, for a quarterback who feels like the guy. They've cycled through more names than you can fit on a jersey. They've endured heartbreak after heartbreak. Every new savior has ended in disappointment. And then Shedeur walks in and looks like a natural. Calm, composed, confident, delivering dimes under pressure. Not wide-eyed, not overwhelmed, just steady. To fans, that felt different. So when Stefanski undercut him, it wasn't just Shedeur he disrespected, it was the fans' hope. It was the idea that maybe, finally, this time could be different. That's why social media erupted with campaigns demanding Shedeur start. That's why Stefanski became the villain overnight. Because this isn't just about who calls the plays, it's about who represents the future. And right now, the fans are siding with Sanders. The locker room chess match. Here's where it gets even trickier. Inside the locker room, NFL teams are like ecosystems. Balance is everything. And when you upset that balance, the whole thing can collapse. Right now, you've got players quietly lining up behind Sanders. They've seen the way he throws. They've seen the way he carries himself. They know when the game is on the line, they'd rather have him delivering the ball than anyone else. Veterans especially seem to respect his poise. It's rare for a rookie to act like a leader this quickly. But then you've got the Stefanski loyalists. Guys who believe in the system, who've bought into the idea that the coach's word is final. They're not necessarily anti-Sanders. They just believe no player, rookie or not, should challenge the coach publicly. That division? That's dangerous. Because every day Sanders stays out, the line gets deeper. Every day Stefanski refuses to soften his stance, the tension sharpens. And sooner or later, you'll have a locker room that doesn't know who to follow, the quarterback with the talent or the coach with the whistle. And once a locker room is divided, seasons implode. Ownership's dilemma. So what does ownership do? Jimmy Haslam isn't stupid. He knows Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback, he's a brand. He sells tickets. He sells jerseys. He gets national media talking about Cleveland in a way that isn't just, oh, here come the same old Browns. But Haslam also knows coaches hate being undermined. If he swoops in and tells Stefanski to apologize or worse, to step aside, that sets a precedent. Players, coaches. That's a dangerous message to send in a league built on authority. So now Haslam and GM Andrew Berry are stuck in the most uncomfortable position imaginable. Back the coach and risk alienating a quarterback who could define the franchise for the next decade. Back the quarterback and risk turning your head coach into a lame duck with no credibility. No matter what, someone's losing power. And Cleveland's season might get sacrificed in the process. Shedeur's stance, more than football. And let's not forget what Shedeur's refusal really means. This isn't laziness. This isn't ego. This isn't immaturity. This is principle. Shedeur is saying, I know my worth. I know what I bring. And I won't let anyone, even my head coach, diminish that publicly. That's not selfishness. That's setting a standard. That's demanding respect. And honestly, that's the future of the NFL. We've already seen it in basketball. Star players dictate terms. They refuse to be disrespected. They force trades. They force roster changes. They own their brand. And now we're seeing that attitude bleed into football. Shedeur is a pioneer in this space. A rookie quarterback refusing to just be grateful and instead demanding to be treated like the face of the franchise. And whether you agree with him or not, you can't deny it's powerful. The national spotlight. Of course, the NFL media machine is feasting. Every sports talk show has turned this into a circus. Is Shedeur entitled or is Stefanski old school? Did Stefanski mishandle a generational talent? Are the Browns doomed to repeat history? The comparisons are already rolling in. Baker Mayfield's rookie drama, Johnny Manziel's implosion, the infamous jersey with all those failed quarterback names. And now, Shedeur already becoming a symbol before he's even played a regular season snap. But here's the difference. Shedeur's controversy isn't about partying or immaturity or bad play. It's about respect. That makes it harder to dismiss. That makes it harder to spin. And rival teams? They're licking their chops. If Cleveland can't fix this, somebody else will gladly take Shedeur off their hands. And if he succeeds elsewhere, Cleveland becomes the butt of every NFL joke for another decade. The season on the brink. So what does this mean for the Browns right now? Chaos. The practice field looks like a shell of itself. The offense feels rudderless without Sanders at the helm. The fans don't trust the coach. The players don't know where to put their loyalty. And preseason prep? Basically derailed. This isn't how you build momentum heading into a season. This is how you implode before week 1 even kicks off. And unless something changes fast, unless Stefanski swallows his pride, or Sanders softens his stance, or ownership steps in with a clear decision, the Browns could be staring down another wasted year. The legacy question. And that's what makes this so tragic for Cleveland fans. Because once again, the city thought it had found the answer. Once again, they thought the curse was over. Once again, they thought the endless quarterback carousel was finally stopping. And now, it's déjà vu. Another controversy. Another implosion. Another what if. The legacy of the Browns has always been about squandered potential. And unless this gets resolved, Shedeur Sanders could become the next chapter in that cursed story. Where do we go from here? So here's the cliffhanger. What happens next? Does Stefanski hold the line, daring Sanders to sit out and hoping he eventually caves? Does Sanders stand firm, forcing ownership to pick a side? Does the front office step in and choose talent over coaching? Nobody knows. But what we do know is that this story isn't fading anytime soon. It's only growing. Every day Sanders stays away is another headline. Every practice without him is another reminder of dysfunction. Every whisper from the locker room deepens the fracture. And every rival team watching from the outside, they're praying Cleveland keeps fumbling. Picture this. The Browns' practice field eerily quiet. Reporters huddled, scribbling notes, scanning the sidelines. Fans pressed up against fences, looking for one thing, Shedeur Sanders in uniform. And yet, he's not there. His absence is louder than any touchdown pass he could throw. Every drill without him feels like wasted time. Every rep with Gabriel or Flacco under center feels like a rehearsal without the lead actor. And the tension? It's thick enough to choke on. Inside the locker room, whispers ripple. Veterans are muttering. Why poke the kid after a game like that? Rookies are staring at the ground, nervous about what this power struggle means for them. And Stefanski? He's trying to act unfazed, clipboard in hand, voice steady. But you can see it in his eyes. He knows he lit a fire he might not be able to put out. Meanwhile, the fans outside are rallying. Literally. Murals of Shedeur in Brown's orange are popping up on street corners. Social media is a battlefield. Hashtag #StartShedeur trending nationwide. Stefanski's name trending for all the wrong reasons. The fans aren't asking politely anymore. They're demanding. And in Cleveland, where quarterback misery is practically a religion, demands carry weight. But here's the real kicker. Every day Shedeur refuses to return, his legend grows. He's not just the rookie QB anymore. He's the player who stood up for himself. The young star who refused to be disrespected. The face of a new kind of NFL, where players aren't just cogs in the machine, but brands, identities, and voices with power. And rivals? Oh, they're circling. You think front offices in Pittsburgh, Baltimore, or even Dallas aren't watching this unfold? You think they wouldn't scoop him up in a heartbeat if he demanded a trade? The Browns don't just risk losing him. They risk handing him over to someone who will let him shine. So now the Browns are staring at an impossible choice. Back Stefanski and risk turning Shedeur into a martyr, or back Shedeur and risk tearing apart the chain of command. Either way, their season hangs in the balance. And Shedeur? He's silent. No press conference. No tweet storms. Just silence. And sometimes, silence is the loudest move of all. Because right now, every headline, every debate show, every fan conversation isn't about the Browns' defense, or their running backs, or even their playoff chances. It's about Shedeur, and whether he's the future, or the one that got away. So buckle up. Because what started as a preseason highlight has turned into a franchise crisis. And if history has taught us anything, it's this. When it comes to quarterbacks, Cleveland always finds the most painful way forward. This week's fake award? Most likely to win a power struggle without even stepping on the field. Shedeur Sanders, your move. And Cleveland? The clock is ticking.